Yo, what's going on guys? It's Rest. In this video, I want to talk about Chaos Chambers. Now that the game's been out for a little while and everybody's gotten a taste of Endgame, I wanted to actually just chat about the good and the bad of it because I think we do have a masterpiece that Gearbox has created, but there are a lot of problems that do need to be resolved and things that could be changed to make it absolutely perfect. I know I have been having a lot of fun in the Chaos Chamber, and it seems like all you have as well, but updates to the system's always going to be good, and I think if they make these changes I'm going to talk about in the video, Chaos Chamber is going to be one of the best endgame pieces in any Borderlands game. So no, this video is not completely negative like I know some of you probably clicked on thinking it was going to be. There is some changes I would like to see, and this is not to harass Gearbox and 2K because they did an amazing job of what we already have in the game, and I think just future updates is going to make it even better. But if you guys do enjoy this video and would like to see more Wonderlands content, consider subscribing and dropping a like. It really helps me and our community grow, and it is truly appreciated. But all right, starting off, for all of you that don't know, let's just quickly talk about what Chaos Chamber is. It's essentially the end game in Wonderlands. You basically start up this arena based thing and you keep going to new arenas until you eventually get to a boss. Every time you complete an arena, you're going to be able to choose between like a buff, a debuff, or loot basically, and then once you choose that, it's going to take you into a new arena and you're going to do the same thing for a little bit, and then eventually once you complete all the arenas, you get to a boss fight. There are feature runs, normal runs, extended runs, and chaos runs. Chaos runs specifically do increase your chaos level, and chaos level is affected throughout the whole game, and the feature run is a run crafted by Gearbox that changes when they change it. Normal and extended runs are what their name says, they're just a normal run, and the extended run is just an extended run of the normal run. Then at the end of the run, you can spend all your currency that you've picked up throughout all the arenas, and you can specifically buy whatever loot that you want to buy. Obviously, it's still random what you get, but if you want to go buy a shotgun, you can go buy a shotgun. But all right, let's start off talking about the good. Just in general, Chaos Chamber is very, very fun. Just going through all the new areas, killing as much enemies as possible, and eventually getting up to a boss. It is insanely fun. The way that you can actually, select what loot you want is also very, very cool. Going through the arena, the areas you see are very awesome. The level design in this game is beyond phenomenal, and literally even in the arenas, it is still top notch. If you've played through the Wonderlands campaign, you know what I'm talking about. All the areas are extremely beautiful, and it basically just takes all those extremely beautiful areas and kind of makes arenas out of them, and then you have them back to back to back in these Chaos Chamber runs, which is very cool. Now, I talked about modifiers, and I think the modifier system is very, very cool, but it is a little unbalanced. Maybe it needs a little bit of balancing. But the cool thing is, if you take something like the Dragon route or the Dragon Lord route, he's going to offer you two modifiers, which is usually easy or hard, easy or medium or hard. Like, there's always like a lesser one and there's always a hard one, right? The harder ones, you get more crystals in your runs, but the lower ones, you still get more crystals, but just not as much as the hard ones. Now, some of these have returned from Borderlands 3, and some of them are extremely annoying, like the ones where sometimes enemies are just infused with random elements, and if you have a frost damage build, you just cannot damage them with frost. Like, it is very unfun that is a modifier, but obviously you can just not choose it if you don't want to, which is cool. But that means you would also have to go with a lesser one where you wouldn't get as much crystals. Even things like roguelike can be kind of annoying in this game. I know in Borderlands 3 a lot of people ran that because it was like the least annoying system in all of the mayhem system, but just going down and automatically losing one of your lives just because you died to something random, it can be kind of painful. On the other hand, the butt design statue gives you insane benefits. You don't get as much crystals from the run, but you're going to get skill points to increase, which is going to make your build even further, which is very fun because sometimes you can get some skill points into some crazy skills that just take your build to the next level. It is insane. It is very fun. And then you also just have your two loot portals, which gives you crystals, and one gives you gear. The one that gives you gear I will talk about later in the negatives, but the one that gives you crystals is also just pretty cool. So I think the modifiers are definitely a cool system and keep you on your toes, and you can play differently. But I think some of the Dragon Lord ones could be balanced a little bit better and make it a little bit more fun to play, but there is the option to choose it. So if that never changes, I do understand, but some of them are very annoying. But I guess that is kind of the point. But some of the other hard ones are just not comparable to some of the very annoying hard ones. But now let's start talking about the loot room. The loot room is very cool. Like I already said, you can go choose an exact like weapon type you want to get, or if you want to choose a spell, amulet, ring. It's not going to be all random, and you just have to hope you finally get a pistol, and then you hope to get that pistol you want, and then you're going to hope that it's volatile, and then you're going to hope it has the right enchant. Like, it's not like that. You can actually just go buy a pistol, which is very cool, and it makes farming very, very fun. And on top of that, since I just said volatile, it is also really cool that guns in the game are chaotic and volatile. You have the normal version, and the chaotic version is like a little bit better, and the volatile is the best. If you use normal version guns, your builds are still going to be very good, but volatile is going to be better than the normal gun. So farming a specific weapon to get a volatile drop is very cool. It is only very close to a 2% chance when you are in a Chaos Chamber 20. It is very lucky to get one, but once you do, you're going to notice it. But like I said, if you don't have one, it's not that big of a deal. But now talking about chaos level, I think the chaos level ranked up system is very cool. It reminds me so much of Greater Risk from Diablo. The more you go up, the harder it's going to get, the more you're going to have to tweak your build. But once you get all the way to Chaos 20 max, you're going to have a bunch of different benefits, and you're going to be able to just start farming like crazy. I think it's a really cool system, and I would imagine we're probably going to get more chaos levels when DLCs come out. But then also after you complete your run, having quick access to everything like a quick change station, your bank, vending machines, enchantment table, and the lost loot machine, like it is very cool because you can just get everything done right there, then immediately go back into a run and not have to like travel everywhere, which is very cool. And finally, for the good, the hidden bosses in the game are phenomenal. They already said that they were, you know, raid like bosses in the Chaos Chamber that you have to find secretly through some puzzles. They are crazy. They are super cool. I'm so glad they did something like this, and I think that the raid bosses in this game are absolutely insane. But now that we've talked about all the positives, let's start talking about the negatives, which I'm sure most of you probably came here for. And I just want to preface this again that Chaos Chamber is very fun, and these negatives can easily be fixed with an update or a patch, and it is going to be one of the best in-game systems in a Borderlands game. Now, since we already were on the topic of the raid bosses, I think it would be very cool if once you beat them in the Chaos Chamber runs, if you could just select them. Like if you go to Chaos Chamber, maybe there's portals on the outskirts of the chamber instead of just one in the middle. I think being able to just actually go fight that raid boss directly would be very cool and very fun. But as of now, you have to go through a whole Chaos Chamber run, and then you have access to go through another portal to go fight the, you know, raid boss, quote unquote. That can be a little tedious if you've already done it one time, and I think being able to access it just, hey, I want to go fight this raid boss, will be very cool. Maybe even if you have to pay a certain amount of money to do it, like in other Borderlands games, I think that would still be worth it. But that would be a very cool change. But also when you're going through Chaos Chamber runs, you're going to know that in some arenas that the mob density is just very low. It's extremely low. Sometimes you'll get into an arena where you know, there's a lot of mobs and you're having fun, you're slaying everything. Sometimes you even die a lot. Sometimes there could be an insane amount of mobs and you just can't handle it. But in some arenas, you literally are running around the map forever looking for a mob spawn because they just spawn in random areas and the arenas are huge. And it is very annoying. It is very boring, honestly. And I think the mob density in Chaos Chamber, specifically on these low tier arenas, needs to be changed because it is so unfun when you're playing through a bunch of arenas and you're just having fun slaying out, and then you get to this one arena that nothing spawns, and it just kind of brings down the whole morale of you just kind of flying through it and grinding. But again, this can't just be fixed with an update. Increasing the mob density, I feel like, is going to go a long way, especially in the lower tier areas. And it's not only mob density, some of the challenges that are in the arenas can be near impossible unless you just spend a large amount of time on them. So specifically talking about these like large arenas again where enemies don't spawn, like say you have that one, but with you have to stand in the circle to complete the side quest, right? If no enemies are spawning near you and just there's only one circle like at the beginning of the map, you're just not going to be able to kill enemies in there unless you just wait forever for the enemies to finally walk towards you. And sometimes they don't even want to walk towards you in some of these arenas. I think the challenge system is very cool. Things like completing in a certain amount of time, which is rewarding fast gameplay. Even defeating things like the Dragon Lord statue is not terrible. It can be a little tedious. Protecting butt standing statues not bad, but specifically ones like having to fight in a circle when there's not a lot of circles on the map, or getting final blows with melee weapons, even if you aren't running a melee build, it can be kind of annoying and tedious. And I think that there needs to be a change to some of these challenges, specifically for circles. Just add more circles, or if they increase the mob density, I think that will also fix the problem. But for the melee one, I don't know what you can do unless you just take it out the game, because it's just not viable for a lot of builds to have to finish them with melee weapons. Now I know you can kind of get them very weak and then just start lay waste on a melee weapon to get it, but that's also again just unfun to do if you're trying to speed things up. So I'm not exactly sure what they could do with that one unless they make it where just you have to tag an enemy with the melee, which could be a lot easier to do. But just know that in some of these arenas, between the mob density and the challenges that you get, you just have to wait forever, and it can take a very long time, or in some you could just fly through and have a blast. Now another issue that's kind of not just in Chaos Chamber, but you see it the most in Chaos Chamber, is just constantly dying to barrels and puddles. The amount of barrels that are in the game, it just puddles, like, you know, if you shoot a frost weapon at water, you just instantly die. It is very annoying. I know barrels is kind of a thing that Borderlands has always done, and you know, it's kind of a funny gimmick as you can, you know, kill your friends with it. But playing through trying to grind and just randomly dying to something, especially after you've killed all the enemies, is extremely annoying. And I know you can make the argument you just need to look out for them and know where they spawn, but then that moves on to the puddles, where sometimes you're fighting in water and sometimes somebody randomly shoots the water and you instantly go down. I think barrels and puddles need a huge adjustment. It's not that they don't need to be out the game, they just need to not do as much damage in the game, or maybe even have it so if you want to troll your friends, you can actually still just do a lot of damage. Like say you hit the barrel with the melee, then it does normal damage. But self-inflicted damage between these two is just not fun, and it just makes the game very tedious to play when you die to stuff like that. Now another issue with doing damage is that everything almost health gates you in Chaos Chamber, at least on Chaos level 20. It is honestly kind of insane that like literally one enemy can hit you and you pretty much just instantly are almost dead. Taking the sacrificial skeep amulet has completely changed the game for me, because it's kind of negated that situation, because you just get instant health back immediately. But like almost everything hits you and you almost go down. I know if you play like a glass cannon style build, this is something you have to worry about, but even if you aren't playing glass cannon style builds, literally just some enemies in the game will just almost instantly kill you, and it is honestly insane. And I really think that the damage output of some enemies need to be tuned a little bit. And again, I know Chaos 20 is supposed to be difficult. There's a difference in something being difficult and literally just being tedious to the point where you just cannot play the game. Even if you look at something like Dark Souls, obviously the game is supposed to be extremely hard, and most of the time enemies don't one-shot you, but they do a lot of damage to you. But there are multiple different ways you can dodge attacks or do different type of mechanics to actually not be able to take damage. But in Wonderlands, it's not that. In Wonderlands, you can just run through and randomly die to a frost bullet that got shot in the water, and there's nothing you can do to counter it. But now finally going back all the way to the portals that we were talking about earlier, let's talk about the specific like chest portal you go through. There's almost no reason to ever take this. If there's ever a Dragon Lord, a Butt Stallion, or a blue chest portal that gives you the crystals, you should always take those. The loot chest only gives you like green, blue, and sometimes purple gear from my experience. It literally is just a bait. You don't get a lot of crystals, and the loot you get from it is just literally gonna be retired the second you get to the actual loot room if you can get purples and legendaries. It is almost never worth it unless you really need money to sell stuff, but again, you can just get loot from the loot room to go sell stuff. And I have no clue why you would ever even take this, because taking the Butt Stallion just gives you a buff, the crystal room just gives you crystals for the end room, which is better loot anyway, and then the Dragon Lord gives you more crystals just with more curses and harder challenges. But I think that is everything that needs to be said. Again, Chaos Chamber is extremely fun. I would highly recommend playing it and trying it out if you haven't yet. Farming for gear is very fun. There are just a lot of changes that need to be made, specifically with things like the damage you take, the mob density, and some of the challenges. And I think once they do fix those, like I said, Chaos Chamber is going to be one of the best in-game pieces of content we've ever had in a Borderlands game. I mean, it kind of already is. Chaos Chamber is already insanely fun, and it's completely different from what we've seen. But once we get these fixes, it's going to take it to another level. But anyway, that's going to do it all for me. Let me know what you guys think about Chaos Chambers in the comment section below. If you think we need these changes I talked about in this video, let me know. If you think there needs to be even more changes, or if you think it is perfectly the way it is right now, be sure to let me know as well. Also, if you made it all the way in this video, be sure to comment I made it with a smiley face. But that is going to do it all for me. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.